Well, welcome everyone. This is Tom Frankwitz, US EPA. I know many of you, not all of you. I was the co-chair myself a couple years back. I am filling in for Chris Voll as the US co-chair this morning. Couple, I guess, Chris-related announcements. Two of significance. One is, he personally wanted to be here so that he could participate on the call and also let people know that he will be moving on. He recently took a post as a biogas lead for the Danish consulate. That's an exciting position. There's a lot going on for at least the U.S. consulate from Denmark, a lot of exciting biogas opportunities. Chris, unfortunately, was in a car accident 2 days ago, and he is okay, but just dealing with some health issues that prohibits him from making it. So he did ask just that I could please both let everyone know he's sorry that he's not able to make it personally, and also just let everyone know how how great it's been participating with all of you these last couple of years. It's a great group of folks, delegates, project network members, people that have been signing on. There's, the biogas industry has always been an exciting but also struggling industry. But, I think there's a lot of things happening at the state, local level, and some countries that are really in the lead on this. And bringing all those folks together is a great forum. So he's confident that work will continue. And hopefully you'll have a chance to see him, whether he's representing Denmark or some other country. Just want to do a quick review of the agenda. So this will be, relatively concise meeting, but there's a couple main things we'd like to accomplish on this call. The first is letting folks know more about the Global Methane Challenge that's being kicked off shortly. And my colleague Kate Height from EPA will provide an overview of that. We think it's not only a great opportunity for Global Methane Initiative, but particularly for this subcommittee. There's a lot of national level initiatives being kicked off. There's a lot of great project development going on, so we think this is a great opportunity for folks to highlight their work and commitments. Jorge Hilbert, our other co-chair, will be giving an update or status review of ongoing activities and updates since the last in-person meeting. Myself, I'm going to give just highlight some of the outreach materials that were presented in Toronto and give a little status update. And then our other co-chair, Matt Hamilton from Canada, will be talking a little bit about some upcoming events and soliciting comments from folks or ideas for potential venues for our next meeting. And then we'll do a quick wrap-up and move on from there. So I guess with that, we'll go ahead and hand it off to Kate, and just going to ask Rebecca to cue up the slide, and it looks like we're there already. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Kate Height from EPA. I am assisting the Administrative Support Group here for GMI with managing the Global Methane Challenge. So before we sort of go into the background of the challenge, I did want to just sort of tee up for the group today. This is just the purpose of the challenge is a real opportunity for you all to showcase the efforts that you're undertaking to reduce methane emissions in the biogas sector. So we'll get a little bit more into sort of how you go about making the challenge aware of what's going on, but I just really wanted to highlight this as a real promotional opportunity to get out there what you guys are up to. The background of the challenge, really the genesis of it was in 2016 when we sort of reconfirmed our connection with the Climate and Clean Air Coalition and the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, the UNECE, on working together to reduce methane emissions. At the April 2018 Global Methane Forum, the GMI Steering Committee announced that we would indeed hold a challenge in 2019, and that the focus of this challenge would really be toward catalyzing additional action on methane in 2019. So we all know the purpose of GMI is to reduce methane emissions around the world. The challenge is, I sort of think of it as a campaign to really raise awareness and to focus people's attention on all the good stuff that's already happening. As we all know, there's a real opportunity with methane given that it's a short-lived climate pollutant, and if we make some substantial reductions now, we can reap some very significant short-term benefits. We also know, and particularly in this sector, that there are a number of technologies that are available and in use and cost-effective today to capture and use this methane. So the challenge is open to everyone who is working in this space. It's not just open to GMI partners and project network members, so I really do encourage you to take the message of the challenge to your colleagues around the world who are embarking on reductions in emissions. What we are planning on doing is sort of a twofold effort. One is showcasing the policies and technologies via a web portal, which we'll show you in a little bit. And then second is sort of celebrating some of these accomplishments and bringing people together to discuss these items at a capstone event in 2020. The Global Methane Challenge, we've already begun communications about this. You guys may have sort of seen this in previous emails and slide decks, but 2019 is really going to be the year that we're concentrating on sort of getting out the word about this and encouraging people to submit their activities. So the opportunity of the challenge is really a promotional opportunity. You can be publicly recognized for what you're doing. You can highlight new actions. You can highlight ongoing efforts. We'll show you shortly what the challenge website looks like. We're also collaborating with GMI, with CCAC and UNECE. They are going to be submitting actions to the challenge, and we are going to be collaborating with them at events to promote this opportunity. As I mentioned previously, we're also going to be celebrating the achievements in the challenge and all the good work that's going on at a 2020 capstone event. Here's just a few examples of some cross-cutting actions that one could consider highlighting in the challenge. We have a list of these on our website and a more detailed list of opportunities. I'll just highlight a few of these that range from methane monitoring to an action plan for a specific sector or even for a country as a whole. Providing technical or financial support to a project, actually developing and disseminating a technology, educating the public about methane emissions. And then more specific to the individual sectors, I'll just highlight the ones that one could consider for biogas, which would be adopting anaerobic digestion technology in the ag sector, for MSW, diverting waste from landfills, and for wastewater, installing capture systems in open-air lagoons. So here's a snapshot of our challenge website, which you can link to this directly off of the GMI website. This is the homepage that tells you about the challenge and that it's open to everyone. This is the action map. So this is really the opportunity you have to showcase your actions. So we have one pin on our map right now because Mexico has submitted an action for the oil and gas sector, their new regulations regarding methane in the oil and gas sector. But this is where you'll have an opportunity to explore all the different actions that are submitted to the challenge. We're going to highlight actions on the country level, on the municipal level, at the individual company level. And this is the opportunity to submit the form to tell your story. What we're sort of envisioning with the action map that we saw on the previous page is when you click on those pins or hover over them, you then can read more detail about the individual methane mitigation actions. And we're hoping that over time, as we get more and more stories, that we can really create some focus pages on this website that are by sector. So for example, if you want to learn about efforts in the MSW sector, then you can go and read some stories about some good projects or some good efforts that are taking place in countries and municipalities. This is the first page of the form. There are a few different ways to submit your action to the Global Methane Challenge. This is sort of the most obvious way in filling out the form on the website. Another way that you could do it is just to contact the administrative support group with information, and we can follow up with you by phone or email to learn more about what you're doing. We're just trying to make this as easy as possible for the methane abatement community to share their actions with us so we can really promote all the good stuff that's going on. So as I mentioned, this is the first page of the form, and after you submit your basic information, you'll go to the next page. And here's where you can submit some more detailed information about exactly what you're doing. So for example, as in a previous slide, we showed the different types of actions. You could click on an action type like emissions monitoring if you have some sort of MRV plan in place. You have an opportunity here to describe the action. If you're working with other partners or companies, you can share that information here too. The purpose of this form is really to get information from each of the individual submitters that's sort of similar across the board so that we can have a pretty comprehensive presentation of all the different actions that are taking place. And as I mentioned, we want to make it as easy as possible for everyone to submit. Please do so via the form or via this web address. The intention is, as actions are submitted to us, we're going to work with you to get them posted on the website, but we're also planning to re-engage in social media for the Global Methane Initiative in this coming year. Therefore, when we get new actions submitted, we're going to plan to tout those on the different social media platforms. So that's it for the challenge. We're really looking forward to receiving submissions from you all, and if you have any problems with the form or struggling with the kind of information you need to submit, please don't hesitate to contact us with this information.
Great, thank you, Kate. Rebecca, I guess something I may have forgot to announce earlier is that that we are taking questions after each presentation. So I guess we can take a pause here if folks do have any questions, and I assume we want them to, I guess, raise their electronic hand through GoToWebinar. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I'm looking now.
Hi. We have a hand raised by Hari Gatina. We're going to unmute you so you can ask your question.
Okay, Jorge Gilbert from Argentina. I was wondering the language of the input of the page is being prepared in different languages, or how are you dealing with that?
With regard to the Global Methane Challenge website, is that right?
Yes.
Right now, it's only in English. That's a really good point about how we may want to offer it in additional languages. Were you thinking that that would be something that would be particularly useful for Spanish speakers in particular?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this is Doogie. We have a Google Auto Translate in the top left-hand corner that will it does an automatic translation. It won't be perfect, but we've had a look at it and it does a pretty good job. But yeah, we can obviously talk about that.
And Doogie, this is Kate. Does that translate into any number of languages? So it's not just Spanish, but it would be any language that Google had on offer?
The full language set that Google Translate offers, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. So that sounds like a fairly straightforward way to get the information to the audiences you guys are thinking of.
Yes, I think that's a good solution. It works pretty good. We can try the way to make it simpler for people to find that tool and translate the page.
Okay, thanks for that feedback. Maybe make that more obvious where you find that. It's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Well, and unless we have other questions, Jorge, I think you're up next.
Okay.
So if Rebecca can put up, it looks like you've sent some slides in advance. So if Rebecca, we'll give her a moment to put those up. But I guess for folks who don't know, Jorge Hilbert is a longtime participant of the Biogas Subcommittee and has been a co-chair for several years now as well. So you are in good hands with Jorge. It looks like the slides are just about up. Oh, okay, they're back up. Jorge, great to hear your voice, and
okay.
you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for all participating in this webinar. We're going to go through the principal accomplishments we made in the last years, and then we will move on to the priorities for 2019. Okay, next. Okay, they have the list of the different principal issues we've been working on during this year. First of all, there was a successful completion of the biogas component of the Global Methane Forum. there were 3 technical sessions within this very important meeting we had in Canada. Then we had a very interesting joint meetings with the CCAC on the agriculture initiative. And then we also had the opportunity to participate all in their own workshop that was was made after the end of the general Global Methane forum, and that was also very interesting to contact the people working there, and we have exchanges of different materials we've been working through these years, and how we can make this more productive in the next years. Then, we had too much snow and cold climate. And the tour was canceled. Then we have the primary collaboration between partners of different countries. The geographical focus was made in Latin America, Eastern Europe, and Southeast Asia. We made good progress with the Latin American network, biogas network. We participate in the annual Congress and workshop they made. This year was made in Foz do Iguaçu in Brazil, where they have a very important biogas laboratory and program, and also different plants. We visit there. There was material that was produced during the visit, and it's available in the website. Regarding tools and resources, we work on the BioWatt, the anaerobic digestion solid waste emissions. We also worked with the biogas, the Italian biogas network, and Michigan State University on the biogas done right concept. This is a very important concept that gathers a systemic view of biogas, not just looking on emission reductions or energy production, but also looking at agriculture as a whole, and the possibilities of really capturing carbon dioxide into the soil through an intelligent use of effluents being used in the farms. There are a lot of experience in Italy, and we already had 2 participation of biogas done right in the last 2 meetings we had on the Global Methane initiative. And then they have reached the World Gas Conference in the UK. We've been participating there since the last 2 years. This is a very important forum and expo, and we look forward to continue our work with them. Well, the next slide was focused on 2019 priorities. We are looking to continue the support of the Global Methane Challenge, and we have to work there to make people participate in this global initiative, and also enhance the use of the project network, and also the increase the participation of NGOs and different networks along the world. The geographic focus will be China, India, and Kazakhstan, and the technical areas are related to the best practices for food organic waste and wastewater treatment, the advanced manure management and sustainable agriculture, the renewable natural gas production and the co-digestion of sludge, manure, agriculture residues, and food waste. We are seeing this very active in different countries. How agriculture and the problems related to cities and how to deal with residues are coming together, and there is a strong challenge there to make things work for benefit for the cities and also for benefit of the agriculture sector. Um, so we are also looking at virtual and in-person subcommittee meetings for the next years, plans for quarterly webinars and in-person meetings that are going to be make available during the next months. I think that's was all from my part, and the next section will be outreach materials and tools.
Thank you, Jorge. We're back up and running here, Tom, if you want to hop on here.
Okay, excellent. And thank you, Jorge. That's a great summary. I really appreciate you putting that together. So, Rebecca, I'll let you go ahead and tee up the presentation, or perhaps it is already. Just a few comments in advance. So there was a couple things that we wanted to share in this session. There are a number of outreach materials that Chris had been working on this past year under our previous contractor. We have a lot of things that are, maybe 90% done. We're going to take a pause and, try to figure out the best way to roll these things out. Part of that is soliciting input and feedback from you all in terms of kind of which of these materials might be most useful, how they would be most useful, the best way to kind of make them available to you. We're also going to be going through some of the kind of internal review process we have here in order for us to make them available. So some of these, this is a subset of items that were shared in Toronto that are a little bit closer to kind of being finalized. So this is a good point. We're really interested in hearing from you all in terms of kind of, not only specific comments or edits on the materials, but what the best way is to make these things available. We're trying to move away from the model of kind of publishing GMI, fact sheets or handouts to developing content that explains the sectors, that explains the benefits of biogas utilization, that others can take and use as is, or drop into a PowerPoint or post on their website. So we're really trying to make more content available to you all, and in that respect, want to hear from you the best way to make things widely available. That's what we'll be covering today. There's also a number of tools that EPA has been working on with CCAC, and I guess I'm the liaison between CCAC Waste Initiative and the Biogas Subcommittee, and so try to share relevant things when they're available. There's a number of tools we've been working on that are all biogas related. We have an anaerobic digestion kind of feasibility screening tool, the organics model, which looks at technical and economic feasibility of organic diversion from landfill projects. So that's primarily, composting, anaerobic digestion, the organic fraction of municipal solid waste. There's also the solid waste emissions estimation tool, the SWEET tool, and that is basically kind of a repackaging of a number of off-the-shelf models from the IPCC first order decay model, and also a number of other aspects looking at diesel emissions from waste handling vehicles. But what it does is it kind of aggregates at a city level the number of waste-related emission sources, so that with pretty basic waste generation rates, basic waste characterization, number of vehicles, things like that, that you could create a baseline for waste-related emissions at the city level. So there's a number of tools we've developed, and I would really like to make those available to you all. And I think what we're going to do over the next several months is, through CCAC, have a number of webinars to kind of publicize those and provide some basic training. And I think what we'll do is cross-post those webinars so that you all could be aware of those, and not only receive a little bit of training, but these are basically kind of all 1.0 versions, and we're trying to incorporate, do some bug updates and things like that. So this is also an opportunity to solicit feedback from this group as well. So that's something that I guess is forthcoming. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and review some outreach material. So Rebecca, please go ahead and I guess advance the slide. Great. Okay, and I think you might need to, there we go. Okay, so one of the things that we're working on is, and I'll try to do this justice. I think Chris is a lot better at the outreach side of things. But, in this effort to kind of develop any number of content, one of the things we're doing is developing these things called explainers. And it's kind of, I guess, maybe the next, next iteration or next several iterations of fact sheets. So it's a way of providing background and overview of a concept that is kind of a little more user-friendly and digestible than, say, a standard fact sheet or pamphlet. So this is something that provides a kind of an animated overview that can be used on a number of platforms. Go ahead, Rebecca. Okay, this should start running. I don't know if you need to click again or whether it starts up. Okay, so this next segment is kind of different types of content that is in a format that's easily postable for social media, so you guys could kind of copy and paste things and use things for your own Twitter streams or to tag to pin interest. These are just some sample media posts. So this is, one of the groups that we've worked with and is really a great success model is the Philippine Methane Initiative. We have worked both at the national level with the Philippine government as well as with some farming cooperatives. And basically they've done an amazing job of kind of just taking GMI content as it is, and then just incorporating it into their Facebook page. And the thing with social media, everybody has kind of different skill levels of it. I'm somebody who's pretty bad at it personally, but also depending on the country and the user, there are different platforms that people use. And Philippines is a great example of not just a country that uses Facebook extensively, but where Facebook essentially is the internet. That's how most people use mobile devices to surf and post. And Philippines is a country where Facebook actually is the internet provider in most situations. So it's not so much that people use Facebook as a social media platform, but it is their internet. So making things that are not only easily postable, but things that are easily viewable on Facebook is a much better way to get materials across. And these are just some slides that the Philippines Methane Initiative have posted that we've either produced with them or that they've just kind of adapted from the GMI site that I wanted to share with folks. And then these are examples. That last one was just an example of ways that some of those specific thank you. Some of the specific content pieces, what they would look like as a post. And you see that the pictures and the infographics and the animations, those are all things that are easily kind of cropped and adjusted to be used either as directly as a URL or as a Facebook post, or something that could be hashtagged and made into a Twitter feed, a Twitter tweet. So these are all content that's really easily manageable to be posted on a variety of social media platforms. Okay, this last is a little bit more of a traditional case study, but I guess with a little bit of an updated electronic format. So this is also from the Buklad Unlad co-op, the farming cooperative in the Philippines. And this focuses a little bit more on kind of the biogas for cook stoves. This is a Haiku deck. Haiku is a proprietary, not really proprietary. It's I guess maybe one type of platform for sharing kind of self automated slide decks. There are a couple other formats that are very similar. There's nothing special about Haiku per se. There's also Fold. There's a couple other things I've been made aware of recently. I guess what's notable about this is that this is a very simple way to take photos or infographics and add minimal text to explain and have them be self-automated. That way you can use it in lieu of a traditional PowerPoint. You could also make it available on a LinkedIn post or on your web page. So it's a very easy to use format. And if you want to just go ahead and have it run through the next couple slides. Okay, great. All right, well, thank you. So yeah, I apologize for some of the technical difficulties. That is one of the, as I guess tech savvy as we like to be, when you try to share these things on a completely different format, like a webinar format, it can be problematic. So I think what we'll do is try to have in the next couple of months a outreach focused webinar, and we'll have all the platforms kind of teed up appropriately. And solicit feedback, and also let folks know how to start downloading some of these things. We could take a pause for questions. But as I mentioned, a lot of these things we're going to be rolling out over the next few months, and we'll make a point to, before we push these out the door, to have a forum focused on soliciting feedback and letting folks know how to access these things. So I'll take a pause here.
Tom, we had one question that I think you're kind of answering here, and that we'll have another webinar and go through these tools, and they'll be rolled out and such. But I have a question here that is asking if these tools and resources are available in India, and I think you can speak to that.
Sure. Yeah, certainly our objective is to basically make this available to everyone. So it's something that we are tailoring to GMI partners, of course, but this is going to be publicly available. Frankly, I don't know if the best way to make this available is just to have somewhere to download from the GMI website, or if we put it on a third-party site that's a little bit better at file transfer. That's something we need to figure out. So I would just put that back to you. If you have preferences for easier way to download things, whether it's like a third-party site like Dropbox or Google Drive, rather than posting on our website for download, please let us know. But I think what we're going to do once we have these a little bit closer to publication, that's when we'll do a webinar to run through everything that we have and make people aware of what we have, and also get some feedback on the best way to make these available. But we do plan on making these all publicly available for sure. All right, and then I guess with that, I will hand this over to my other esteemed co-chair, Matthew Hamilton.
I had just a question and a proposal. We've been working this year in several materials that are already available at YouTube, especially regarding the Brazilian experience and Congress we assist, and also regarding the biogas done right concept. I was wondering if we could use the GMI platform to enlarge the spreading of these materials.
Of the outreach materials?
Yes, of our own materials that have been made this year, adding to the ones you presented.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a good idea, actually. We always struggle with how much or how little to post on the GMI website. We have a bunch of stuff up there that people don't use. So yeah, that's a great suggestion. We're happy to make those things available. And if there's anything like specific you have in mind, just send us a quick email. We'll make sure to get it up there. We're putting a lot of effort these next couple months with the launch of the Global Methane Challenge and preparing for the capstone event of updating the website. So yeah, please let us know. Happy to put that up. Okay.
Yes, I had, for example, I had a very good experience on LinkedIn this year, where we have more than 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 views of the materials, and maybe we could also use the GMI platform to enlarge and also enhance people to put their contributions also, no?
Yeah, that's a great idea, Jorge. I think we should encourage other countries to submit stuff, and I mean, just to give a plug for you, I follow you on LinkedIn. I think you're probably one of the more tech savvy people that I know. I love your kind of live feeds at conferences. So yeah, any ideas you have, you're obviously pretty savvy at that. And I'll be the first to admit, government is not that good at social media, because we have all the accounts, but for us to make a tweet might take a several week review process. So we're happy to provide content, but I think all of our members are going to be a lot better about getting things out there. So if you have things to share, we will get them up on GMI's website for sure.
Okay.
And then likewise, we're happy to develop content and have you all push it out there, because you can do things a lot more quickly and a lot more timely than we can. So that's a great suggestion.
Okay, and we have a raised hand here from Rick, and we're just going to unmute you. Oh, Rick, you're going to have to unmute yourself. Or you can type in a question. Okay. Well, you can always reach out to us as this webinar continues, or shoot us an email if we can't get you unmuted here. But
yeah, and Rebecca, feel free to just, I don't think it's on the canned slide, so I don't know if you at the end, if you want to just type in, or however you can make available. If you just want to put my email address.
Okay. Certainly.
Or the AFG email address, that's fine, so people would just kind of send us questions directly.
Yes, we'll do that. Okay.
Great. All right, and I think it's Matthew's turn.
Okay, thanks very much, Tom. Right, so I just wanted to share with everybody some information on upcoming events that are related to what we're talking about today. The first one being the 2019 in-person subcommittee meeting. So this meeting, last year it was held in Toronto on the margins of the Global Methane conference that we had here, and it was a good, successful meeting. We're looking to have another in-person meeting in the next 4 months, likely, probably before May. We haven't landed on the specific venue yet. There's a few ideas floating around, but actually I'll put it out to this group that if you have ideas on events where in the margin of that event we could host a subcommittee meeting, we'd love to hear from you. So please, in the next month or so, if you could send in some of those ideas, it would be great. Another event that's coming up in February is the Global Summit on Waste to Energy. And this is going to be taking place in Delhi in India. It's a great opportunity. It's going to bring together, waste energy folks, developers, bankers, finance people, technology providers, etc., to do really a good several days of intensive networking. The focus, I think a lot of the focus is apparently going to be on advanced conversion technologies and that the need to address innovation across technology, policy, finance, etc. So really an interesting event happening in India. Another event is the sixth International Symposium on Management of Agriculture and Agro-Industrial Waste. That's happening in Brazil in May. I'm told this is a unique event in Latin America, and in terms of this topic, and also one of the largest that's in the world that's focused on agriculture and agro-industrial waste. The objectives for this event are around discussing environmental issues, pertaining to agriculture and agro-industry, providing and encouraging research and scientific discussion in the area, promoting partnership among the participants, and also looking at ways to internalize waste management issues in supply chains. And there was a call for abstracts that went out for this event just in the last week, in fact. And those abstracts, I believe they're accepting them by February 1st, 2019. The next item is the UK AD and World Biogas Expo 2019, and that's happening in Birmingham in the United Kingdom. This is one of the largest, if not the largest, trade show that's dedicated to anaerobic digestion and biogas. And there'll be, in all likelihood, quite a good combination of industry, insight, and innovation possibilities for investment opportunities. And so a lot of those topics to be discussed. The expo is going to cover all the sectors and regions where anaerobic digestion can offer a solution. So whether that's farming, looking at waste management in small scale, mega cities, local waste management and water management. So quite a combination of different things there. And some of the topics I think they're going to be, you'll see and hear from people on, will relate to how anaerobic digestion and biogas, they contribute to addressing the global challenges around climate change and energy. Also looking at the sector's potential for growth and maybe identifying opportunities for growth internationally and as well as in the UK. Keeping up to date, of course, with the regulatory changes and different requirements that are coming along, and learning about AD and biogas and understanding the sector's potential. So quite a few things there, I think, that will be taking place and covered at that event. So worthwhile to go to, I think. And that's all from me.
Thank you, Matthew. Great overview. I know these are slides we helped prepare, so I'm a little sheepish in asking, but I guess, do you or anyone else on the line have much details about the conference in Florianopolis? Because that actually sounds, to me, it sounds quite interesting based on content and timing. As the kind of waste sector lead or solid waste sector lead, agro-industrial is always kind of a nice crossover for co-digestion, especially since, there's often a big distinction between, say, municipal solid waste in cities versus the agricultural sector and farms. Timing-wise, end of May, that allows enough time to organize, but also still, when, at least from EPA's side, we have good contract vehicles to work with. So I'm curious if you or anyone else on the line might have more details or contacts for that conference.
Well, one thing I can add is that they're accepting papers in multiple languages, so Portuguese and English, and then presentations will be in Portuguese, English, or Spanish. So that, I think, is a good in terms of attracting a large group of people. Having the multiple languages, I think that's a good, really positive thing. I also, I'm personally interested as well in that crossover between the different subsectors in terms of managing waste across subsectors. And I do think this looks like an interesting event. As you said, having it in May would line up well with some of those other requirements you have, the contracting, et cetera. So no, I do actually think this looks like quite an interesting event. I don't right off the top of my head, contacts available for the organizers, but I know that's easy enough to find. So it's something we could do to reach out. But if there's other people who have ideas, I'd love to hear from them.
Okay, great. Well, let's give a minute to see if anybody raises their hand, or Jorge, I don't know if you've participated in this conference or just aware of it and have any insight to share, but we'll give it a minute for people to raise electronic hands or unmute themselves.
No, personally, I wasn't aware of this conference taking over in Florianopolis. What I have to add is just finding out where the Latin American Congress on Biogas will take place next year, and I will let you know.
Yep, great, thank you. And I know that something I've been trying to get some information on and haven't been too successful is, it's my understanding there's a Brazilian Biogas Association that is having a meeting also in May, but in Sao Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
I at the ISWA, the International Solid Waste Association Congress, this past October, I had the opportunity to speak with Carlos Silva from Abrelpi, the Brazilian Waste Association, and he mentioned that there, is and I don't know if it's just for Brazil or if they're hosting for Latin America. So I apologize for having incomplete information, but he had expressed interest in hosting a GMI activity. Unfortunately, I just haven't been able to make much progress on that. So I will try to nail down more information and share it with you and Matthew to get your feedback. So I would say this: let's, the co-chairs, we're going to be figuring out, I guess, who on the U.S. side is going to be stepping in. I'm just pinch hitting for today, but let's try to have a call in the new year and try to find some leads, and also hopefully participants on the call should definitely feel free to make some suggestions, or if they like the idea of the event in Florianopolis in May, let us know. But then, yeah, let's the three of us get together and have a call sometime early in the new year and try to figure something out.
Hey, Tom, this is Kathy McGurl. We had a question just pop in for Kate about the Global Methane Challenge. Can we pose that to Kate if she's still there?
Kate is actually, this is Monica from the GMI Administrative Support Group. Kate is actually not in the room, but depending on the question, I might be able to answer it, or we might be able to get back to the person.
Sure, it's a good general question. So the question came in: how does innovation and innovative technologies fit into the Global Methane Challenge?
Thanks for the question. This is Nick Elger. I work with Global Methane Initiative. Well, they fit perfectly in. A good example is a profile that we received from India on an innovative business model for biogas systems. They're a third-party operator of digester systems, and they also have sell the gas and the biofertilizer product to customers across India. So that's something. So that's just one example. But innovations in this area are something we definitely want to highlight and give credit to successful success stories and businesses that are doing well, because they're driving a lot of the good work on the ground.
Thank you, Nick.
Another important meeting that it always takes place in February is the Italian Biogas Congress. I think next year it will take place in Milan. We've been participating since the last 2 years, and if they invite us next year, I offer to carry GMI and see if we can make a specific presentation there.
Jorge, that's a great idea. So let's talk about how we can help you with that. Because yeah, I think part of whatever event we choose, it'll be good to kind of promote it in other forums. So that's a great idea. And is that the Ecomundo, or is that something different?
No, it's mainly the Italian Biogas Association that organizes a national congress every year, usually in February. It always takes place in Rome, but the next year would take place in Milan.
Got it. Excellent. Okay. Well, Jorge, thank you, and I guess first off, would like to thank all the participants. Really appreciate you all making the effort to sign up and participate and listen and ask some good questions. We have a lot of things we want to roll out these next couple months and this next year to prepare for our capstone event, the Global Methane Challenge. And Jorge and Matthew, both, thank you so much. Really always appreciate your support, and thanks for being so flexible with me today. And I promise the next couple of weeks we'll figure out our end and get back together with you guys. But thank you everyone for a great call.
And happy holidays and happy New Year to everyone from the Global Methane Initiative.
Yes, happy Christmas to everybody, and thank you for all your nice work you always make.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Saludos.
Bye-bye.